Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Friday, the 10th of June. In Canada, at least we had been for a while, but in Canada, we have this thing called Red Fridays where people are encouraged to wear red and on Fridays to support our troops. So I've got my Support Our Troops golf shirt on here. And the specific reason why I'm doing this is that 2 nights ago, I became the Padre to the Legion here in Wainwright. And after 23 years of being a priest, I'm over the moon about this because I've never been the Padre. In my first parish in Mitchell, they used to rotate the Padre through the different churches. So when one minister would leave, then the next denomination would take over. And when it came turn for the Anglican to take over, that would be me when I moved in. The United Church person decided she really liked doing it and said she wasn't going to stop. She was going to stay. So I didn't get my chance, and I was kind of bummed because the Legion has often had some really cool aspects to it that I've always enjoyed doing. However, I've never been able to be the Padre to the Legion, so now I am. And unfortunately, they sort of, I think, haven't had an active Padre for a long time. So when I asked them, like, what does this entail? They said, well, like, Remembrance Day and the Veterans Dinner on the Saturday before that. It's like, okay, like 2 things a year, really? The odd funeral or event, things like that. So we'll see if I can maybe up the ante a little bit and get a bit more involved and have the Padre be more of a part of the actual Legion. So for those of you who aren't Canadian and don't know what the Canadian Legion is, I'm not sure what yours is called in the States, but it's the veterans, where the veterans would hang out, the Veterans Hall, or once upon a time I thought I knew what it was called, but the Legion is a body of people that was struck up after the wars, that created a place for veterans to come and tell their stories, to be comfortable and be there. And their spouses could become associates and they could, get involved. But it was primarily about taking care of the veterans. And over the years, it's become a little bit different because there aren't as many veterans, obviously. It's World War I and World War II veterans died, and our Korean vets are getting older. Things sort of morphed into something else, and in a lot of places, it became sort of a place to play darts and to drink beer. And, there was a big push on in Canada, in lots of places, that there should be less emphasis on drinking, like encouraging people who have been through combat to drink is maybe not the best idea. And in some places, the Legion's kind of got a bad rap for that, for just being a place where old people went to drink. And often is the case in Canada anyway, that the Legions are not necessarily a place where the younger veterans feel comfortable, because most of the people who are gathering there never saw combat. They aren't veterans. They maybe are children of veterans or were associates of the Legion, but the membership tends to be more civilian than former military, which is a really strange dynamic considering what the Legion does. The Legion in Canada also has things like they have the Poppy Foundation. So every year people can donate money to purchase a poppy that they wear up until Remembrance Day on November 11th. And then we go to the cenotaph for our Remembrance Day services and we lay our poppy at the cenotaph. And that money then goes to support mission and ministry, not church ministry, but the things that the Legion supports. In one case, for instance, we last at the evening, 2 evenings ago, at the meeting, the Legion in Wainwright, they voted to give a bursary to a student who's at university, who has an affiliation, a grandparent or somebody who was a veteran and is connected to the Legion. So they do things like that. They also have speech writing contests, and they have the coloring contest for kids in schools and things like that. They do some pretty awesome work, and lots of fundraising and lots of just bringing the community together, which is exciting as well. But there's one other young person, and I know I'm 50, I'm not that young, but I was the youngest other than one person at the meeting on Wednesday night. So one other young person, and I'm not sure how she's affiliated, but she's from Wainwright, moved away, came back, and she's one of those people who's got lots of energy, and she's passionate, and she's just got lots of ideas. And you can just imagine how that went. Young person, new in town, new to the Legion, new to the community, lots of great ideas, lots of energy, with a whole bunch of people who have been doing the same thing the same way for a really long time. And she came up against a wall a little bit because they've worked hard. They are a really good group and they work their butts off to do fundraisers and coordinate things, and they're tired. They have fewer and fewer members, and after COVID, things really got tough. Lots of people who would go out for coffee during the week or go out for dart night or for steak nights on Fridays have fallen into the habit of not going out at all, or just picking and choosing the things they do. So their attendance rates for things and their community sort of dropped off. And they're struggling, like everybody else is, to sort of pick up after the pandemic and figure out what next. How do we move forward? And one of the exciting things I thought last night was that this young woman, even though she was getting pushed back, she was pushing back herself. She was willing to say, I'll do it. I'll do the work. And I think we can do this. And maybe I can bring in some other people to help. But she also acknowledged something that I think the Legions are struggling to acknowledge, is that our younger members of the Canadian Armed Forces, for which we have a base like 3.5 minutes from the Legion Hall itself, they don't come to the Legion. They don't choose to go to the Legion to play cards or to play darts or to have a beer with their buddies or just to hang out for the evening. There's a sense that the Legion isn't for them. And having spoken to some young members of the military over the years, there is a sense that they are not appreciated. That when they walk into the Legion for Remembrance Day or whenever, the people there don't look at them like they did their grandfathers who fought in the World Wars. They look at these young guys and women who have fought, sometimes had more than one tour in Afghanistan, or have sailed in, overseas and done all kinds of things, who have gone over to Lithuania or Latvia, people who have served in Bosnia and have seen some really horrific things. And they don't give them credit for that. The Legion folks who are older, they are holding on so tight to what they remember the Legion has been, that in some cases I wonder if some Legions and some Legion members have forgotten what their purpose was, which is to serve and uphold the members of the Canadian Armed Forces and veterans within the community. And I found it really powerful. We opened the meeting by singing, not just listening to, but singing our national anthem. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you've heard it at a hockey game, our anthem changed a couple of years ago. It used to be "In All Thy Sons Command," and it changed to "In All of Us Command." So we're getting politically correct. And I was the only person who sang in the new words last night, or on Wednesday night. And it was pretty powerful to hear. It didn't bother me because, truth be told, I liked "In All Thy Sons Command." I liked the old-fashioned way. But what was interesting was, here are people, only a few of whom have actually served in the military. I think there were 3 or 4 there. The rest are all associate members or people who have volunteered and helped with the Legion itself. But everybody else was there. All of them sang standing up straight with their hands at their sides and singing with their full voices our national anthem, and they knew the words. And at the end of the meeting, we gathered and we sang our royal anthem, "God Save the Queen." Same thing, standing at attention, hands straight at their sides, no fiddling around, no checking watches or phones. They sang it with everything they had, and they knew all the words. There's something very powerful about that, and they took a moment of remembrance, an act of remembrance, to remember those who have fallen. And knowing that still happens, that once a month when the Legion gets together for their meeting and they discuss their business, this is still happening, gives me great hope, because I do believe that between the old stuff hanging on, those folks who remember what it was like back when, mixing with the younger folks, like the young woman I was speaking of, who was there, bringing those two things together, bringing in the old stuff, the prayer, or the act of remembrance, and the statement. It wasn't a prayer, but the statement about taking a moment of silence to remember those who have fallen, remember those who have served and how they came home, remember those who are currently serving. Very powerful. And then having someone saying, yes, but we can't forget. We need to adapt for our younger veterans. We need to acknowledge and recognize that we have a whole new crop of young people who have seen horrible things, who have had to make life and death decisions, who have come home so much differently than they were when they left. And that brings me great hope, because we are never going to be a country that does not have an armed forces. Neither will the United States. There is a need for that, but there is, whether we agree with it or not, or we appreciate it or not, there is always going to be a need that we would have a group of people who are willing to train and take up arms, and as they say in the Canadian Armed Forces, offer of themselves. I can't remember the phrase, but they're willing to offer them their lives, um, for those of us who are left at home that they're fighting for. The fact that we have people who would do that in this day and age when things have become very, very much about me, 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 we still have people who are willing to train and go away from their families and offer themselves in that military service. And we have families who support them to go forward and do that. Our legions and our veteran societies, whatever they're called in the United States, we all need to recognize those veterans who are still with us, who are older, who have white hair or no hair, who are maybe in wheelchairs or using walkers, and who are still carrying with them the scars of what they have seen and done in war. But we also need to recognize that there are so many thousands and thousands of young men and women, much younger than we are, who have been places and seen and done things that we have never even read about, let alone imagined. They need our support. And if our legions or our veterans halls or whatever our groups that remember these folks can do, if we can support them and figure out how to ask our young veterans what they need, what would be helpful for them out of our legions and our veteran societies, then we can support them, because they have not yet retired. They have ahead of them a whole career of being in the military, and God knows what they might see or deal with. And if we are doing our part as faithful and compassionate citizens of our countries, we need to be prepared to welcome them home or welcome them into our communities and our societies and say, how can we help you? And thank you for how you have helped us. And so for Friday, I wear my red Friday shirt with my Support the Troops ribbon. And I am proud to say that I am now the Padre at the Wainwright Legion. And I hope that I will be able to offer something to the veterans and to the members of Legion who aren't veterans, but in particular to those who have served, that they will know that they are appreciated and they are welcomed home, and that we will stand up for them as they stood up for us. So to all of you out there who are serving members or who have been or are considering becoming serving members in whatever country you're in, may God bless you and keep you, and thank you for the sacrifice that you are willing to offer for your country and for your country people. God bless you. Have a great weekend, and I will see you, those of you who join me for our We Parish mini worship for Trinity Sunday on Sunday, the 12th of June. Have a great weekend, and God bless.